welcome back to Milton Mo Junction. There's a short update in about the middle of August, just to show you what I've done. Haven't been that busy up here really, because I've had lots of other issues to deal with, including some house maintenance and garden maintenance, etc. So I've managed to do a bit, but also, as I mentioned last time, I think I'm waiting for some parts or bits, mainly the foam board. Now the foam board's arrived, and I did a bit of a test to show, I mentioned how I was going to do it. I did a test with velcros, the sticky back velcros. That sticks really well to this. I didn't really have a lot of doubts about that. And of course the sticky velcros, the other side of it was going to stick to wood. Now again, I wasn't really too bothered with that, because at the end of the day, if the sticky stuff doesn't really stick well, you can always staple it with an ordinary, as long as it's softwood, which we're dealing with at the moment. You can always staple it using an ordinary office stapler, so that it stamps through the velcros into the wood and holds it, and it just gives a backup to the sticky side. But at the moment what I've done is I've put up some of it. Now, as I said, I've bought the foam board, which is just 3mm foam board. Had it cut to 15 inches high, which is exactly the height of the ID self-adhesive Backscenes. Now the one I chose was, I didn't have a lot of choice because I needed about, I think it was 40 foot or thereabouts. So I chose Hills and Dales, because pretty much I think that's the only, or one of the only ones that has 4 different sets, A, B, C and D. Each one has 2 sheets in it. Each sheet is 5 foot long. So A, for instance, has a 10 foot length, and that's it there. I'm not sure if you can see it properly. So what I did, I decided that the backboard would be glued together after, or some of it after the job had been done. So basically what I did, try and show you, is you simply join this. This is absolutely fantastic for sticking with super glue. You stick it like that, join it together, obviously stick the other sheet on the other side, and it makes a fantastic join. Then you stick the backscene on top of the board, and the backscene sticks absolutely really well to the foam board. You don't have to do anything to it like the MDF. I had to paint it with gloss paint so it stuck, but this sticks really well. So my first length, I joined an 8 foot and a 7 foot sheet of the foam board together, which obviously makes 15 foot, and that allowed 3 5 foot pictures. Now that meant that that used 1.5 packets, if you like. So that used all of A and 1/2 of B. Then I was left with the problem, of course, that I couldn't have it joined up all the way around, because it would be completely unmanageable. 15 foot was about right. It's very light and it folds so easily that it went in between the trusses. So at the moment I've done from the beginning here, where it's going to start, all the way along round here, all in one continuous picture, and as you can see at the moment it finishes here. Now what I did on the ends, I cut the picture exactly on the edge of the board. I've already got the next bit, the joining bit stuck to it, so when I've done the next picture, all I've got to do is slide it onto the, put some glue on the back of that bit there, and make sure the picture matches up as well as it can do. Now obviously there might be a bit of a join there, I'll just show you the one I've already done. That was the other join. It's not as bad as I thought. From a distance you don't really notice it, but I've always intended to put a tree or a bush there, so that a big O-gauge sized tree, oak tree or something, to cover it up. But it's not too bad, it gives the overall effect. You can probably see from the top that the picture didn't actually match up quite, because it's very difficult getting 15 foot of picture to be perfectly horizontal. So the time it got to this end, it sloped a little bit. It doesn't really matter at the bottom, because obviously the bottom's all going to be covered up with foliage or something else, and the top, there's just a little slight drop at the top there, and I just cut that, sloped it. I mean, that doesn't really notice, so I'm not too worried with that. There's a few creases, very slight creases on the bend, and that's obviously to be expected, because I'm bending the board round at quite a rate, and the picture, of course, you can't really stick the picture to it on the bend. You have to do it on the flat, and then when you bend the picture, there's obviously some sort of give in it and flex, so it does, or it has bubbled in a couple of places. I can repair some of it, or get rid of the bubbles, by pricking them and squeezing them out, so I haven't yet done that. There's one unfortunate little bubble there, which something obviously fell behind, or a lump should I say, something fell behind the paper when it was being glued, and so it's now raised a little lump. You can probably cover that at some point, put a seagull, stick a seagull or a hot air balloon on it to cover that up. So all in all, I'm quite pleased with the overall effect. And I've still got to come round on this side, and what I intended to do was have a right hand join when the board finished about here, have a right hand join to come here, but that's going to show excuse me. So what I'm thinking about doing now is bending the board, perhaps not quite as much as this, having the scenery come all completely round to here. The only problem with that, I've got to sort of hide these tracks going through it. Now, initially I was thinking of some sort of hillside with a tunnel, but I'm not sure that will work, because as you can see from the scenery, although it is very hilly, you can't really just stick a tunnel on the front. I'm not sure what that would look like because of the how it peters out and matches up with the board. So another idea would be to build a wood or something here, so as the train disappears into the back scene, you don't actually see it at all. It just disappears into trees. But I'm not sure. It's not going to. I mean, that's the only problem, is those tracks there. These are just laying here. They're not really tracks. And these ones will finish. The two outer ones are finished. So it's only those. I can get away with the back scene on the rest of it, but it's just there. I'm not sure how to cover it up, because I think however hit a tree or woody I make this bit here, it's still going to seem as if the trains just disappear into the back scene. But I'm not sure. I'll have to have a think about that. On this side it's not too bad, because I think I can just put a bit of right angled foam board on here and have buildings or some sort of coverage to it, so you'll probably only ever see the sky. So if I can sort of match the sky up a bit in that corner, that'll be okay. But on this side I don't really want any buildings, I just want scenery. So I've got to sort of decide. If anyone's got any ideas, please feel free to express them and let me know. Obviously, however I do it, if I go from the far end down to my left at the moment, and you're going to be looking up directly at it, it's going to show that it's train's disappearing into a back scene. But from the angle that you normally look at it, which would be something like this, it should be okay to cover it up with bushes and trees in the area where those buffers are parked, all that bit there. So I'll give that a bit of thought, and perhaps you could do the same. I've got to put uprights on this bit along here now because that's slightly sloping and I want it vertical. So my next job is to put some sort of upright on there so I can stick the velcros to. And then this side is pretty much finished. So, well, the back scene will be pretty much finished. There'll be a bit of touching up here and there. Obviously the bottom of it has still got the white strip that comes with the back scene. I never bothered cutting that off, and because that'll always get covered up by foliage at the very least. So that's about it. So I haven't done a fantastic amount of work up here, but what I have done, I personally think is quite impressive. It sort of sets the scene up completely now. So the excuse me again, still suffering from this remnants of my man flu. This bit here will be built up at the back somehow with some sort of, as I mentioned, parcel buildings or goods shed, so that'll cover up the scenery. But from about here, obviously you'll still see the sky, but from about here it will be pure scenery, countryside, or going into countryside. So it will be as if all around the edge is pretty much countryside, and the industrial bit, or the buildings and the built up area is in the centre where I'm actually standing, or where you're looking at the picture from. So I think that will work, and as I say, I'm quite pleased with how it's turned out. So I'll end this video now before I bore everyone, and just say thanks for watching. And as I mentioned, if anyone's got any ideas about how to cover up the train going through the back scene, please let me know. I should mention, obviously I'll cut the holes in the back scene as small as possible, just enough to let the trains through. So whether I build a bridge, I mean, but then it'd be very difficult for a bridge to disappear into this particular back scene, because there's nowhere for the road or whatever it's going to cross over. Even if it's a farm crossing, it would still disappear into the scenery, and it doesn't match on this particular one. So I'll have to keep thinking. Anyway, I'm rambling a bit. Once again, thanks for watching, and if you wish, please subscribe, and any comments please leave, including how I can get rid of that problem. So thanks, and bye for now.